Uncle Mark,
Yes.
what if we could see the future?
Well, boy, howdy, sign me up. Well, actually, I don't know that I want to know.
Depends on what the future is.
Yeah.
Well, my understanding is that at some point in the future, apocalypse.
What sort?
Or is that now?
It's what it's the
Boy, it sure seems like
question. Will all the Christians disappear in this event? And if so, bring it.
And if so, how can we make this happen?
Yes. What
How
do I
can we
need to
speed
do?
this event?
I know it has something to do with Israel.
Yes. Let's all, I mean, we're praying with you there, Christians.
Yeah.
Uncle Doug,
Yeah.
what you're going to tell us a little bit about the future, aren't you?
Well, let's hope it's not the
Through
future,
the
but
lens of the past.
I'm going to exactly. I'm going to tell you
Bronze
about
Age version of the future.
somebody's version of the future. So I thought, in honor of the fact that it is Halloween time, that I would dive into the Book of Revelation. Because if you really want to spook yourself out, turn the news on. But I thought maybe we could take a respite from all of the madness and talk about the end of the world.
Yeah, we can take a respite from all this crazy American evangelical-driven political madness and examine the reason for this American evangelical political madness.
Yeah.
So, so we're going to talk about the Book of Revelation today. And we're only going to talk about half of it because I've decided to make this a two-parter because there's so much in it and there's so much to cover. And I just don't think we can do it all in one bite. So we're going to do the first half of the Book of Revelation. And we are, of course, reading from the King James Version of the Bible.
Yeah.
The only one.
Yeah.
And so the Book of Revelation is often misreferred to as Revelations. It is not. It's just the Book of Revelation, a.k.a. the Revelation of John, the Apocalypse of John, the Revelation of Jesus Christ, Revelation, or one of the main sources of all of the world's problems today. It's the last book in the Christian Bible, which is, as we'll discuss, has caused some problems. The title derives from the first verse of the book, which is the revelation of Jesus Christ, which God gave unto him to shew unto his servants things which must shortly come to pass.
Wait, shoe?
Shew.
That's SHEW.
Yeah, show.
That means show.
Yeah.
They were fancy talkers back in King James
Some of
time.
that fancy talk.
In the Jacobean era.
I like to think that Jesus is supposed to reveal a new shoe to them, but I'm going to keep that as my private little fantasy version of.
It's a gladiator sandal.
Paul Lynn just came. Charles Nelson Riley just came darting into the Book of Revelations. A major improvement, methinks.
Yeah, right? I mean,
The center square.
How do you think Jesus spoke? Come on.
like Ed Wynn.
This is a Sermon on the Mount.
Okay.
I don't know who that was.
The fact that this is not the only place.
You can tell we really don't want to talk about the Book of Revelation.
I know. Least of all me.
Yeah.
The fact that this is not the only place where it refers to things which must shortly come to pass,
Yeah.
Strangely has not caused any Christians 2,000 years later.
Hey, look, shortly,
a moment's pause.
there's a lot of wiggle room in the word shortly.
Exactly.
Not a huge amount, but
Yeah.
if you're talking about an eternal clock.
Enough
maybe.
to drive a crusade and several car bombs through.
Yeah, well, if we're talking about a book that has that people have decided means that there's only 6,000 years of human history, and
Yeah,
this is
true.
and that's 4,000 years in. Yeah, it's not shortly.
That's true.
Right.
So this book was written somewhere between 81 and 96 CE, although even that's disputed. For a long time, the book was thought to be kind of a comforting, a comfort to early Christians who were
Jesus,
suffering.
how bad did they have it?
Well, that's the funny thing.
Yeah.
They were suffering under the yoke of Emperor Domitian,
Yeah.
Hate that guy.
and the idea being he was such a tyrant that this was like, hey guys, don't worry, it's going to get better
By everyone dying.
by everybody dying. But now the thinking is, because apparently Domitian wasn't the tyrant that he was thought to
yeah,
be.
that's kind of a bit of Christian spin.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The book is this book is actually written in the context of an early schism in the early Christian church between early Christians who kind of wanted to have better relations with the Roman Empire and those who did not, which include the author of the Book of Revelation.
And then the People's Front of Judea.
Exactly. Exactly.
The author being Dan Brown.
Early versions of the Bible omit this book, although by the councils of Carthage in 419 it was fully accepted as canon. However, the Eastern Orthodox Church currently does not include it.
So this wasn't part of Nicaea.
It was, and it wasn't. So it's there are versions that included it and versions that didn't.
Okay.
Because the book is so strange. It's so different than any other book, especially in the New Testament.
It's kind of a fever dream.
It's crazy.
Yeah, it's hallucinatory.
Yeah, and so they didn't know where to put it. They didn't know how to include it. They didn't know where to include it in the.
I know where to
Basically,
put it.
they're like, look, we want the damage this book is going to do.
We just don't know how to package
just
it.
don't really
It's
know.
just weirdly written, and
Yeah.
And even Martin Luther, for example, didn't like the book. They're going all the
Well,
way
he
through.
was a pretty cuddly guy.
But because it's so strange, so violent, it doesn't fit. It is written differently than any other book of the Bible. It took them a long time to figure out where to put it. So they thought, oh, we'll stick it at the very end. What harm can that do? Right. So with all that said, let's begin. So
We haven't begun already?
we're going to do this. So in chapter 1, we start with a ton of flowery bullshit, including repeatedly saying that this is all about to happen. In verse 9 of chapter 1, John introduces himself and says that he is our companion in tribulation.
Okay.
Again, the John that wrote this book, he identifies himself by name, but it is obviously and certainly not the John who wrote the book of John, or even a guy named John.
Right.
We don't know who wrote this book. So any Rapture book or movie aficionado will know that tribulation saints is a big part of the myth, and tribulation will be a major theme of the book going forward. John also claims that he is on the Isle of Patmos for this revelation.
Okay.
There is a cave. There isn't.
Where is that?
That is it's island off of Greece.
Okay.
And I Google Earthed it. It's positively beautiful.
They have amazing white parties. It's a big gay destination.
And you can rent a scooter for nothing.
Well, it looks very much like a little tourist island, which I guess it is. It's a major Christian tourist site. The Cave of the Apocalypse is actually a UNESCO World Heritage Site.
Okay.
So there you go. So
Bring a sandwich.
an angel begins to speak to John with the voice like a trumpet, that he is to write down what he sees and send them to the 7 churches in Ephesus, Smyrna, Pergamos, Thyatira,
Killing it.
Sardis, Philadelphia,
Yeah.
and Laodicea. So this whole book,
in that trumpet like
Yeah, I mean, what is? He spoke with the voice of a trumpet. Does that mean that this angel sounded like one of the adults in a Snoopy cartoon?
exactly. Boy, and you think we're weird now? Okay, so
trumpets were different then.
So this whole book was written for 7 churches in these 7 locations. There's a great verse about the Son of Man clothed in a garment down to the foot, and quote, and gird about the paps with a golden girdle. Which is
Where are the paps?
I don't know, but I want it.
Well, was that Jesus that was all pap girdled?
The Son of Man, the Son of Man papped around the girdle.
He
girdle.
died at 32, right?
Yeah,
Okay,
33.
So I just turned 50. I have paps that need girdling.
You do.
At 32, I certainly did not.
Jesus was a doughy savior.
Was he?
He was a little
He
doughy.
was kind of a chunky son of God.
He just
Patreon goal, we're going to get a golden girdle for Uncle Mark.
I'm going to get my paps all golden, gilded. My man paps.
We hit verse 14, which is definitely one that Megyn Kelly has cut out of her family Bible. Speaking of Jesus, it says, his head and his hairs were white like wool, as white as snow, and his eyes were as a flame of fire, and his feet like unto fine brass, as if they burned in a furnace. So not the white Jesus that you see in the pictures.
So he's brass colored?
He's extra white.
Brass colored. Well, his hair is white, but like
Yeah.
white wool. His skin is copper.
You know.
Oh, he's got his hair like white. Well, he's got Morgan Freeman hair.
He's Morgan Freeman. Yeah.
Well, of course.
Again, yeah. Megyn Kelly's Megyn Kelly's favorite scripture.
Now the paps make sense.
Verse
I
16.
feel like that was vaguely racist, and I'm not sure how. I don't know what you just.
No, that he's an old man.
Okay.
Like me.
Yeah.
And he's a beautiful head of white hair.
Keep digging.
Oh, stop. I love Morgan Freeman.
Verse
We all do.
16 introduces us to the two-edged sword Jesus, having a two-edged sword come out of his mouth.
Yeah, this is sword mouth Jesus.
Sword mouth Jesus.
Sword mouth Jesus.
Do you have it there? Do you have verse 2?
Verse 16. I don't have it.
Okay.
I don't have it quoted here, but that's so. Basically, the idea is it's metaphorical. The word of God is a two-edged sword, but more than once he talks about just having a sword sticking out of his mouth. So, all right.
Basically, we're dealing with a crazy person.
Oh my!
Writing to us.
Just strap in.
You got to have an act, right? If you come back, you got to step it up. You need some sword swallower.
I will give the writer of this book this. They definitely kind of build to a crescendo.
He's a golden papped sword swallower.
You just wait. The number 7 features very prominently for reasons that I do not care about. But here's an example in verse 20. The mystery of the 7 stars which thou sawest in my right hand, and the 7 golden candlesticks. The 7 stars are the angels of the 7 churches, and the seven candlesticks which thou sawest are the 7 churches. Okay. So basically, John has been chosen. Again, we don't know who the fuck this guy is, to receive this vision, and he spent some time telling us how awesome he is, and how much he and both Jesus hate the Nicolaitans.
Yeah, they're the worst.
Fuck those
Necronomicon.
Right. Who are the Nicolaitans, and why does Jesus hate them enough to mention them by name twice? Nobody knows. They're an early Christian heresy that's only mentioned here, and that died off not long after this time. Relevant information.
Sure.
Right. Super important. It's good. It's in the Bible.
I'm just glad to know that they hated people.
Yeah.
That's just nice
He
to
does.
know.
He says, I hate them. Jesus goes on to... So now Jesus tells John to write to the 7 churches, and he gives him a series of bullet points he wants him to write down. So he goes on to decry the doctrine of Balaam and Balak, which is basically distilled down to that if the Israelites are immoral, it's not their fault, but the fault of these 2 dudes. This is a rabbit hole we will not go down today. In verse 17, Jesus tells John that he will give the righteous a white stone with a new name written on it, which no other man will know. So there's that.
Great.
Critical information.
Weirdly, the main problem Jesus has here in this section is Jews who aren't Jewy enough.
Yeah.
So, we're still in the moment where
I know I had that
Christianity
problem.
was a messianic Jewish sect,
Right,
not necessarily a distinct religion. So, okay. Chapter 3 is mostly a giant waste of time, except for verse 15 and 16 where Jesus says, I know thy works, that thou art neither hot nor cold, which sounds much better when it's coming out of the mouth of Bill the Butcher and Gangs of New York. In verse 20, Jesus says he's standing at the door knocking, and that's the genesis of all of those.
Oh, behold, I stand at the door and knock.
Those stupid pictures of Jesus knocking at the door.
Yeah.
That's where you get that from.
Yeah.
Okay.
And all you have to do, apparently, is just not open the door and you'll be fine.
Right.
Yeah. If I look through the people and there is a brass papped motherfucker out there with a sword sticking out of his mouth, not opening the door.
Nope. I'm calling 911.
Not again.
Yes. Don't make that mistake twice, 3 times.
Okay. So chapter 4 is where the fun begins. Immediately John's vision starts, and he gets pulled through a door in the heavens where he sees a throne surrounded by a rainbow. On the throne is a being that looks like Jasper and a sardine stone. Now,
What?
Jasper and a sardine stone, which sounds like a mid-60s prog rock duo, but turns out to be colorful, mostly red stones
Okay.
So God is red.
with a rainbow around
No,
him.
God's not made of stone.
Well, he's like unto Jasper and a sardine stone.
Okay, so he's colorful and he's surrounded by he's gay.
You're trying to make sense of this, and
A
that is
red gay man.
the wrong strategy.
Yeah.
Exactly.
He's Santa gay.
What condition are his paps in?
Around the throne were 24 seats with 24 elders with gold crowns. 24 being 420.
No, 24.
That's correct.
Okay.
Yeah, my bad.
See, we've already got a schism.
God
going on.
damn it.
We've schismed on the show.
We
We've-
skizzed.
God damn.
There was lightning and thunder and 7 lamps of fire which began to burn, representing the 7 spirits of God.
Okay.
All right.
Great.
There appears to be
There
a
goes your
crystal...
Trinity theory.
I know.
Yeah,
Right.
that's 4 more than they've already established. What the fuck, guys?
there appears to be a crystal ball in front of the throne. And I'm not kidding. It says
Why not?
There's a sea of glass at the foot of the throne. So yeah, and then there were 4 beasts around, full of eyes before and behind. So clearly, John
Butt eyes?
eyes all around.
Yeah,
him.
I'm saying he has butt eyes. These
All-
beasts have butt eyes.
Yeah, these are the what, do they have names? I can't remember.
They're not named in the first half of the book.
Okay.
Clearly, John is somewhere around Barstow because the drugs are beginning to take hold.
Right.
The 4 beasts had 6 wings each, are covered with eyes, don't sleep, and constantly chant, "Holy, holy, holy Lord God Almighty, which was, is, and is to come."
How annoying would that be?
Right?
I don't think we have yet written a heaven this stupid. I I really don't.
Shit, you should have just saved this as heaven. As a heaven
No
for-
doubt, right? God.
God damn it.
So
Holy. Stupidest fucking.
Wait, who was doing the chanting? Was it the beasts?
the beasts, yeah.
The eye beasts?
The
It
Ibis.
feels like a lot of these biblical books are the first draft,
Oh, for sure.
and then he like got killed with an arrow or a catapult or
Exactly.
something.
I
and
mean,
never got.
This is all the pitch meeting,
You
right?
definitely nailed it. Like, this is such a what's his name? A Gonzo guy. What,
Hunter S. Thompson.
Hunter S. Thompson.
For
This
sure.
is 100%.
Yeah, it's like a Ralph Steadman illustration. His illustrator.
It's just a goofball like drug trip.
yeah.
And we're just getting started. So, chapter 5, John sees a book to the right of God with 7 seals.
Yeah.
A strong angel asks if there is anyone worthy to open the book, and there isn't, which really bums John out. However, one of the elders tells him not to worry because a vivified slain lamb with 7 horns and 7 eyes is on the case and will open the book. So this dead, gory lamb with 7 horns and 7 eyes.
Yeah, vivified refers to vivisection. Like
Right.
we're like this thing has been flayed.
Yeah,
slaughtered. I
it's
see.
ripped open.
Honestly, if this is the great glory of the beyond, this is the kingdom of God.
Yeah.
If the elevator doors opened and I saw this, I'd just be like, lobby,
Door closed.
lobby.
Basement.
No thanks.
I'll go to the basement.
I don't even care. I don't care what.
Exactly.
Don't even tell me what hell is. I'm going.
Well,
It can't be more fucked up than this.
if it opened up and you saw this, you would assume hell, and you'd
Right.
be like, "Motherfucker!"
Right.
So this horrid monstrosity takes the book, and suddenly all of the beasts and elders have harps and golden vials full of odors, and begin singing a new song.
Well, you need the odors to anoint your paps.
What's that? You got to keep with brass paps. You gotta keep it.
As
sheen.
they sing, a multitude of angels appears and sing along, numbering, quote, 10,000 times 10,000, which is 100 million.
Okay.
100 million. Okay.
Yeah, all right.
So what's the song?
They don't tell us. It's
Bummer.
copyrighted. We can't sing it on the show.
Bummer.
In chapter 6, the Lamb opens the first seal, and one of the beasts tells John to come and see. One of the beasts tells John to come and see, and what he sees is a white horse, on which there is a rider with a bow and a crown to go forth and conquer.
Okay. Great.
In the second seal, John sees a red horse whose rider has the power to take peace from the earth, and he has a giant sword.
I wonder at some point if John is like, I am not an art history major.
Slowly back into it.
Like, I don't. The symbolism is a little opaque to me.
In the third seal, John sees a black horse whose rider has a pair of balances, about which the 4 beasts say, quote, a measure of wheat for a penny, and 3 measures of barley for a penny. And see thou hurt not the oil and the wine.
What?
What?
There's a market?
I don't.
There's a fucking market in the middle of this hallucination.
I mean,
don't know what to tell you.
Thanks for that, Beast.
Yeah,
I appreciate the info. I wasn't really on the hunt for wheat.
Right.
Am I the wheat guy for heaven now?
I
swear
don't
to
think
God.
Is that my job?
I don't have any change. I'm sorry, like,
I feel like
So the Lamb opens the 4th seal, and now we're getting to the heat of the meat. Imagine, if you will, the voice of Johnny Cash as he says, and I looked and beheld a pale horse, and his name that sat on him was Death, and hell followed with him. And power was given unto them over the 4th part of the earth, to kill with sword, and with hunger, and with death, and with beasts of the earth.
okay.
Okay, so for those of you keeping score at home, we have 4 horsemen, a white one to conquer, a red one for war, a black one to measure very small amounts of gluten, and a pale one with hell on his 6.
and we got 100 million angels, 4 beasts, a fucking skinned alive lamb,
And a pap in a pear tree.
and a red god with a rainbow.
And 4 6-winged beasts with eyes all over them.
yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah. Okay, now let's see, where are we? So the 4 horsemen have come to be represented as conquest or pestilence,
Right.
war, famine, and death. So now the Lamb opens the 5th seal, and John sees the souls of all the martyrs for Christ crying out for vengeance.
Vengeance.
Vengeance. It's basically Sam Jackson right before he puts a hole in Brad's big brain. When the 6th seal is opened, there is a great earthquake. The sun is blacked out, and the moon turns to blood. I'd just like to put a marker down here and say the sun is going to spend a lot of time getting blacked out from now on.
Okay, hold up. Just one point of order here.
Yeah.
So the saints that died, the martyrs for Christ,
Yeah.
calling for revenge.
Uh-huh.
That's a rewrite from the original, because A lot of these people went to their deaths willingly.
Right. And basically what they're saying is like, how long must we, kind of be here as martyrs until you avenge the deaths that we willingly walked into?
Right.
You're asking this to make sense.
Yeah,
it's the wrong strategy.
Yeah.
I just found that one little flaw in the narrative.
Well, yeah, you seem to have hit on a weird anomaly of a
Yeah, because
an error.
So far, it was
You were with it.
smooth sailing. Yeah.
We can fix that up in the rewrite.
Yeah.
We'll fix it in post.
What's funny is that I don't know. I've never read this part of the Bible, but I've heard plenty about the four horsemen of the apocalypse. I always imagine them riding together, like the wraiths of
They
Middle
will.
Earth.
I feel like there's an answer to that.
Yeah. And like any good, writer, he's setting up our characters. We're getting to know them. Really
Okay.
getting deep into what motivates them.
But they're all behind separate seals for right now.
For right now.
But I guess we just opened the seals.
Yeah, I guess
so.
they've
Now they're mingling with the beasts and like.
And the seal is a book, right? It's a
So it's like a sealed portion of a book. So they're ripping
Right.
open these seals.
So there are literally men on horseback in the book, but they're
Yes.
not written in the book. They're just guys in a book.
It's like the most fucked up version of the opening credits of Reading Rainbow. Right.
That's exactly what this is.
LeVar Burton, and he opened the first seal and beheld, and it was
LeVar,
was death,
The bearer of paps and wheat.
he beheld, and it was death. Ba-dum-bum.
Okay, so the sixth seal's open. The sun is blacked out. The moon's turned to blood. The stars fall from the heavens, and the mountains and islands are all shaken out of place. All the men of the earth, from kings on down, flee into caves and beg the caves to collapse upon them to escape the judgment that is surely to come.
Please, cave.
Look, Cave, I've never asked for it. All right?
Look, I don't know where your dick is, but I will blow you.
I will suck your dick if you'll just collapse. Just this once.
So,
Because that's how, oh my God, that's how you kill yourself.
right, no,
Is
exactly.
beg a cave to collapse. Jesus Christ.
As we enter chapter 7, John is clearly regretting eating that last cap because we are really going off the rails. Still in the sixth seal, John sees four angels at the four corners of the earth holding back the four winds.
Because what a globe has is four corners.
Exactly.
Right. Well, we established that in Genesis. Okay.
It's hospital corners.
Another angel ascends from the east, telling the four angels not to hurt the earth until he's had a chance to brand the servants of God on the forehead. How many servants will get the apocalyptic seal of approval? 144,000.
Oh, yeah.
Wait. Because I have listened to enough god-awful movies episodes to know that the Christians are terrified of being branded in the final days.
I know, right?
Well, this is a mark of salvation rather than the mark of the beast.
I'm just saying, any mark.
Right.
You hear about these, if you mention like a government marking the people or
Right,
anybody
totally.
marking the people, it's the scariest thing they've ever heard of in their
Right,
life.
it's fucking over. It's fucking
because
over,
that's
yeah.
the beast, that's Satan. No, the mark that's happening is the good mark.
That's right.
You want to be marked.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
You want to be Uncle Marked. Yeah.
144,000.
Mark takes out his paps, you better look out.
And actually, you know where that 144,000 comes from? We talked about this we were talking about the J-Dubs, I think.
Yeah.
It's 12,000 from each of the 12
Yep,
tribes.
exactly.
Oh, okay.
12,000 from each of the tribes, and that would be Judah, Reuben, Gad, Asher, Nephilim, Manasseh, Simeon, Levi, Issachar, Zebulon, Joseph, and Benjamin.
Yeah.
Where's Manasseh? Oh, where's Ephraim? Fuck off. Now, a multitude greater than any man could count, clothed in white robes and holding palm fronds, along with the angels, the four beasts, and 24 elders, all worship God, saying, Amen, blessing and glory and wisdom and thanksgiving and honor and power and might be unto our God forever and ever. Amen.
It is so hard to make Thanksgiving work in that cadence. Can we just say thanks?
One of the elders tells John that all these people in white are those that came out of great tribulation and have washed their robes and made them white in the blood of the Lamb, and that is how we get the Left Behind series and the career of David A.R. White.
It is also not how blood works. I have tried to get blood out of clothing. If you wash them in the blood,
Yeah, tell us more
Right.
about that.
not going to go white.
tried to
That's-
get
I'm just look.
Trying to
all
get
I'm-
blood off of rolled up carpet.
All I'm saying is, basically, it's not going to work. You just burn the whole thing.
All right, so we're in chapter 8. Is the opening of the 7th seal, which starts with, quote, silence in heaven for about the space of half an hour. Now,
Well, at least the droning of the beasts going, holy, 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 has stopped.
This is the biblical reference to intermission.
exactly.
Right.
And when I was a young Mormon, it was a hilarious joke in seminary that, see, there's no women in heaven.
Because it's
quiet for half an hour.
Oh, fuck. Really?
Oh, yeah.
That is delightful.
That's
What
just
a hilarious joke.
Yuck.
Brother so-and-so.
Now appear 7 angels before the throne of God that are given 7 trumpets. Another angel appears with a golden censer with plenty of incense.
And 7 cherry pies.
The angel with the censer lights it and then throws it at the earth, causing earthquakes.
Oh, great. Thanks, angel. Helpful.
So the 7 angels prepare to sound their trumpets. The first angel blows, and fire consumes 1/3 of all the forests of the earth.
Oh, cool.
The second angel blows, and 1/3 of the sea turns to blood, causing 1/3 of all sea life to die and 1/3 of all ships to sink. The third angel
Because
blows.
they can't float in blood?
Right, exactly.
They float in water, but not in blood?
And meanwhile, some guy's back at the Black Horse buying the wheat. I know. And it's like, whoa, what the fuck? What's happening? What did I miss?
The third angel blows.
Got quiet for half an hour, and this shit.
The third angel blows, and a star called Wormwood falls from the heavens and poisons 1/3 of all the fresh water in the world.
Because that's how stars work.
Now, you may or may not know, and this is true, that the Ukrainian word for wormwood, which is a medicinal herb, is Chernobyl.
Yeah.
Oh.
That is for an atheist, that is a pretty weird fucking
That's pretty
thing
weird
to
one.
contend with.
But all of the Christian sites that talk about the Book of Revelations, this is their check fucking mate.
Right.
Yeah.
See this coincidence that happened in the Ukraine in whatever 1980
their
whatever
7 trumpet drop.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Right, exactly.
Well, I mean, it's pretty easy to go forest fires are happening everywhere. That's a trumpet.
yeah, doesn't seem to bother them anyway.
Yeah.
The fourth angel blows, and 1/3 of the sun is blocked out again, covering the earth in darkness.
1/3 of the sun.
Not darkness.
Right?
Twilight.
Yeah,
Twilight.
No, literally, 1/3 of our sunlight would be plenty of sunlight to light
Just
us.
overcast.
Yeah.
More than enough.
Still play a game of stickball perfectly well.
Still run around with your hoop and stick. Yeah. John hears an angel flying around in all this chaos, basically telling everyone.
How does he hear it?
Well,
the singing, the earthquakes,
the wormwood,
the praising, the
trumpets.
blood ocean.
It's the trumpets.
this angel's basically telling everybody they get what they deserved, and if you think this is bad, wait until the other 3 angels blow.
Oh, God.
So that-
Take away the trumpets.
No shit. This gets us to chapter 9, where the 5th angel blows his horn, causing a star to fall into the earth, making a giant chasm, causing smoke to rise out of it, and wait for it, blot out the sun.
Wait, what is this star called?
It doesn't have a name.
What?
Desmond.
All I'm asking for is a little consistency. Just a little bit. Oh, if you're going to name one star Wormwood, name the other one whatever.
Well, and if you thought
Nightshade.
Dickweed.
if you thought 1/3 of the nation of the world's forest burning was bad, out of this chasm come locusts with scorpion power. These locusts are commanded to harm nothing except men without the seal on their foreheads, and to torture them for 5 months.
Oh, great.
Okay. And so here's a nice description of the current state of affairs. Quote, "In those days shall men seek death and shall not find it, and shall desire to die, and death will flee from them." Good night, son.
And we're Christians.
So
So all the caves had been convinced to collapse.
I
So there was
suppose.
literally no other method by which to end your life.
it is so Dante's Inferno, isn't it? It's just
Right.
like a continuous, spiral down.
I just want to. I'm just picturing guys like everybody just sort of unhappily eating their lunch as scorpion critters.
Scorpion locusts.
Scorpion locusts are just stinging them. Okay. Ouch.
Just trying to type at work.
Yeah, exactly.
And then the hummingbird squid
All right. So
pollinated all the coral.
this one also is where a lot of Christians put a lot of belief in the veracity of this book.
Okay.
Verses 7 through 10 are commonly believed to be John trying to describe tanks and or helicopters.
Oh, I've heard
The
this.
idea is he's looking into the future and he's got no frame of reference for an Apache helicopter or an Abrams tank. So,
Right.
so he says, "And the shapes of the locusts were like unto horses prepared unto battle, and on their heads were as it were crowns of gold, and their faces were the faces of men. And they had hair as the hair of women, and their teeth were as the teeth of lions. And they had breastplates, as it were breastplates of iron, and the sound of their wings was the sound of chariots of many horses running to battle. And they had tails like unto scorpions, and their stings were in their tails, and their power was to hurt men 5 months." Helicopter.
It sounds exactly like that's. It's uncanny.
How much a helicopter looks like a horse with a crown.
Right.
And lion's teeth.
And a person's face.
You can go on YouTube and you can see Christian pastors go through this, and it's the
Point by
lion's
point.
teeth are the painted mouth on the A10
shark's
warthog.
mouth.
Yeah, totally.
And the death comes from their tails, which, as we all know, you can totally get killed if you get hit by a helicopter's tail rotor. I
Yeah.
mean, that's just
Yeah.
obvious.
Well, I mean, I've seen. What was
How do you think I got this scar? These forces, these locust forces, have a king. This is really kind of a throwaway line, but it's interesting. In Hebrew, his name is Abaddon, but in Greek, he's Apollyon. But if you've watched any Rapture movie, he's clearly the UN General Secretary.
Or Nikolai Carpathia.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I just feel like the locust things have a king. Like
I know. right?
locust, scorpions,
It's-
and. By the way, is there a better heavy metal name than
Locust scorpions.
or Arpatheon or whatever it is?
Oh, yeah. Apollyon.
Apollyon.
Okay, so now we get to the sixth angel blowing his trumpet, and believe it or not, things get worse. The 4 angels that are bound in the Euphrates River are loosed upon the earth. It seems pretty clear that these are the 4 horsemen you've been waiting for.
Oh, okay.
And they have an army with them.
They're
that
not the Titans?
No.
I'm pretty sure that's the
Right.
version. That's the
Oh,
Titans.
shit. They have an army with them that numbers 200,000, which is 200 million mounted troops.
Right.
Yeah.
Mounted,
That's
however,
an overwhelming force.
That's a big army.
That's like that could take on the Mongols.
Yeah,
for sure.
They're mounted, however, on fire-breathing horses with lion heads and snake tails.
Okay.
That's not a horse.
So, as all of this is happening, there's still some sizable percentage of men who will not repent and continue to worship false
They're
idols.
just not convinced.
Exactly.
Ow! Ow!
I don't know.
The stinging of the scorpions, and then they're like, "So, do you believe in God yet?" No.
Look, I can explain away your trumpet that turned a third of the sea to blood. I can totally explain this.
Look, I've got that.
Yeah.
Okay, so chapter 10 begins with another angel coming down from heaven with a rainbow on his head, carrying a little book. He lands with one foot on... It's a little book. He lands with one foot on the land and another on the sea, cries out...
Does it say little book?
It says little book. Little book. Just wait. So he lands with one foot on the sea and one on the land. And
So he fucked up and he just falls over. Yeah.
and
Ruins
then
his book.
He cries out and 7 thunders ring out. And at which point John is commanded to write what the 7 thunders said, what they uttered, but then seal it up forever. So we don't get to know what the 7 thunders said.
What the fuck? I
know.
Okay, well then don't tell us about it.
If I honestly,
right?
if I had like a very creatively imaginative 10-year-old,
yeah.
and they'd written this as their creative story, I'd be like, it's pretty awesome.
All right.
That's
I mean,
amazing.
it's an incoherent fucking mess.
Next
but-
time we'll work on narrative structure, but
right?
Exactly.
but I really like how creative you are.
Yeah, you read Harry Potter and it inspired you,
Yeah.
and it's all insane. But
So this is where you want to take your kid to the doctor.
Right.
John is commanded to go and take the little book from the angel and eat it.
this is the longest setup for a joke ever. All that was just to make him eat a fucking book. A little book.
A little book.
Also, yeah. P.S. Not how books work. Just,
Why did he eat it?
It doesn't say.
What's in the book?
No, well, all it says is, although it's as sweet as honey, it makes his belly bitter.
well,
What?
yeah.
So, you know,
That's not how honey works.
Whoa, this is a delicious book, but
exactly.
have you ever tried to digest pulp?
You know, in the middle of all this fucking apocalyptic insanity, here's a little nosh.
And a moose bouche.
Here's a little honey book, babe.
Palate cleanser. Okay, so All right, so that's chapter 10. Now,
Oh my God, I'm sweating.
we're in chapter 11, which is the last chapter we'll cover today. Thank God. John is ordered to measure the temple.
Wait, we don't get to learn anything about what was in the book.
Nope. Well, he ate it.
It's just
It's gone now.
An angel came all the way from heaven, did not nail the dismount. in a sea of blood, burning forest,
with one soggy foot.
locust with an autocrat in charge of them. All this going on, and to deliver a book. That's the craziest thing I've ever heard.
And now it's turned to shit. Oh my God. Okay, so chapter 11, John is ordered to measure the temple with a rod. But not
Because you know what's important when the earth is like spinning out of control is a survey.
exactly. But he's commanded not to measure the courtyard around it because the Gentiles will tread it underfoot for 42 months. I was getting really fucking tired of this fucking book at this point.
For 42 months.
Which, by the way, if you happen to know the measurements of a trod grounds, you're fucked. Never know the measurements of the grounds that are going to be trod.
And 42 isn't even a multiple of 7, which is even more insane.
Okay,
It is
so
the meaning of life.
it is the
Yeah.
it is the answer to the question of life, the universe.
What is the
everything.
meaning of life? Yeah.
Two prophets. Okay, so we're moving on from the court now. Two prophets will testify for 2,260 days, dressed in sackcloth. During this time, these two dudes can and will spit fire, turn off the rain, turn rivers into blood, and smite the earth with plagues. But when their preaching is done, Satan will overpower and kill them.
Okay.
Their bodies will lay in the streets of Jerusalem for 3 days without being buried. Not surprisingly, the people of Earth are happy that these two genocidal maniacs are dead, and they celebrate by sending each other presents.
So wait, Satan's the one that kills them,
Yeah.
and then
But then
that seems like a great thing to do.
but of course, after 3 days, they get up and ascend to heaven.
Of course they do.
After which there is, of course, an earthquake that destroys 1/10 of the city and kills 7,000 people. The remainder fall on their faces and worship God. Finally, the seventh angel blows his horn, but this time it's met with a voice crying out, saying, "Quote: The kingdoms of the world are become the kingdoms of the Lord and of his Christ, and he shall reign forever and ever." And part 1.
Oh, we get to end with Handel's Messiah.
Exactly.
Great.
So if you came here for the Whore of Babylon, the Antichrist, or the Second Coming, you'll have to wait till part 2.
Well, I'm dying to see how they wrap up all these threads because
What's great about
this
it
is like the last Avengers movie, right? There's a lot of great stuff
right.
going on.
Yeah, Thanos just barely snapped his fingers.
Yeah.
It's literally unfollowable.
Yeah.
I don't
nonsense.
care. I don't care how hard you work to parse that shit. You'll just be making stuff up.
Yeah.
It's totally incoherent.
There's nothing in there of any value or use.
But you know how much time has been spent over the millennia of
yeah.
people trying to crack the code? Like, get the numbers out and figure out the mathematics.
What does it mean that he ate the little book? Oh, my God.
I love all of the moments where, like, you think something significant's going to... Oh, the little
Right.
book. The little book's going to tell us something.
Right.
Wow.
It's all red herrings.
This is like just a if there was an online M. Night Shyamalan twist generator, and then you just listed everything it pumped out in what random sequence, that's what you would get.
And if I can just tease it out a little bit, part 2 is crazier. Crazier.
Oh, my God.
This is all like the part 1 setup for the grand finale.
I'm glad that we had a little snack on a little honey book.
Yeah.
And I guess we'll pick this up next week, right, fellas?
Yeah, next week, boy. I'm looking forward to it and a little fearful.
All right, well, let's move the fuck on.
Okay.
Blow that last trumpet.